Hey everybody, it's Judy. This is Wake Up Call 524. How crazy is our world right now? It feels like such a good time to be together, to be taking time to be together, to sit, to study. So thank you for being here. Um, and it feels like a good time to study these verses of the Dhammapada. So that's what I mentioned last time is that that's what we'll do here for a while. Um, and we're exploring this possibility, as Gil Fronsdale puts it, of radical personal change. Or Bhikkhu Bodhi says, learning how to avoid all evil, cultivate good, and cleanse one's mind. You know, what a great time to be doing that. So the first chapter of the Dhammapada is called either dichotomies or it's called pairs. It's probably called other things too. And the reason it's called that is because there's a verse that explains what happens when we live one way, and then the next verse explains what happens when we live another way. And it's kind of one way being paying attention and the other way being not paying attention, or one way being waking up and the other way being not waking up, or one way meaning devoted to practice, understanding how the mind works, cultivating the mind, and the other not doing that. So the first pair shows up in the first two verses, and here's how Gil Fronsdale translates it. It says, all experience is preceded by mind, led by mind, made by mind. Speak or act with a corrupted mind, and suffering follows as the wagon wheel follows the hoof of the ox. So this is this image of a cart being pulled by an ox, and the wagon wheel follows the hoofs of the oxen who are pulling the cart. So corrupted mind. And then all experience is preceded by mind, led by mind, made by mind. Speak or act with a peaceful mind, and happiness follows like a never departing shadow. So go into these verses, but I wanted to make one disclaimer, which is that, you know, for everything that I've read about the Dhammapada is that it's really intended to be read by each of us close to the heart, you know, and that it's offered for us to understand what we can, take away what we can, you know, find support, find awakening in what we can. So I'm going to offer what the verses seem to me to be saying, how they feel supportive for me. And this may not resonate with you or with your understanding. And so I hope if you feel if I'm off track that you'll take your own path with these verses. Maybe even tell me what you're seeing, what your understanding is. And either way, just you know, take what I'm offering with a grain of salt, or an ocean of salt, whatever is the most appropriate. Um, and then the other thing I'll say is that, you know, before I started thinking about talking about the Dhammapada here on the wake up call, I thought I should study it with a teacher. And I could not find a class. You know, there's so many classes out there that you can take, so much study that you can do, but I couldn't find anything specifically going through all the verses. So since teaching is the other best way I know how to learn, and also a very humbling way to learn, here goes. Okay, so beginning of the first verse, all experience is preceded by mind, led by mind, made by mind. So the first part, all experience is preceded by mind. So Joseph Goldstein talks about filters, about the way that we see the world through whatever filter is present in the mind. And so it could be the filter of kindness, and this is in the moment, although Some of us have more sustained filters. Um, and so it might be the filter of kindness or compassion or patience or generosity or equanimity, or it might be the filter of anger or frustration or disgust, right? Or I might be exhausted, writing a memo late at night or reviewing a lease or reading the paper. Or I just might not be sleeping well. Uh, I might have a moment of horror by what the other side offers up in a courtroom or in a brief, right? So whatever is present in the mind sets the precedent for our experience. All experience is preceded by mind, right? So that's the first piece. And then two, all experience is led by mind. So the mind first sets this precedent, right? We all know about that. And it informs, or maybe it determines our experience in the moment. And then it leads us forward based on that precedent, whatever filter is present. So joy, love, anger, frustration, whatever, leads us forward into a filtered experience. So I walk into a meeting angry from a previous call, and we all know this. And unexamined, uncorrected, the anger first it precedes and then it leads my experience in the meeting. And then three, all experience is made by mind. It's not only that mind, through its filters, sets the precedent for experience and then leads into an experience that comports with that filter or those filters. It's also that mind constructs the experience itself. So a group of us arrive at a meeting and mind, my mind, the minds of others, all the minds there, construct everything about the meeting together, its tone, its duration, whether there's patience in moving towards one another or impatience and a siloed kind of experience. Which intellectual components come into the meeting and which don't. And this is probably the piece we're most aware of. For example, somebody shows up unprepared, right? And so those are the three kind of beginnings of the opening lines. I got to see James and Jane yesterday for lunch. Thank you for lunch again. It was really sweet. And we talked a little about the Dhammapada, and James said that he prefers this translation of these opening lines, which is by Thomas Byram. We are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts, we make the world. So, that's it, right? Very succinct, very clear. With our thoughts, we make the world. And then the next two verses say how. So, speak or act with a corrupted mind, a mind that's defiled, a mind that's um, filled with the filters of the three poisons, greed, hatred, and delusion. And suffering follows as the wagon wheel follows the hoof of the ox. Speak or act with a peaceful mind, and suffering follows as the wagon wheel follows the hoof of the ox. Or Byram says it this way: speak or act with an impure mind, and trouble will follow you. Speak and act with a pure mind, and happiness will follow you. And I love Dara Williams's way of explaining this. They say, I just love this. If the previous moment was clear and clean, we see the results in the next moment. If the previous moment was clear and clean, we see the results in the next moment. That's it. That's it. That's those whole first two verses for me. Okay. And then here's Jack again, Jack Cornfield. Do not merely read these words, but take them in slowly, savor them, let them touch your heart's deepest wisdom.